All right, so today's question comes from Paula, and Paula wants to know, do Facebook ads still work in 2021? I'm going to give you the short answer, and then I'm going to give you a strategy as a little bit of a pro tip because I want to tell you about some of the changes that have taken place with the Facebook platform because there's some good news wrapped up in that, and actually a lot of news that you are going to want to hear about as somebody that could potentially be marketing on Facebook because there's some really awesome stuff that we are taking advantage of that I think you can take advantage of as well. So the short answer is yes. In fact, it is still our primary focus for an advertising platform. The reason being is because the Facebook algorithm still, to this day, is just untouched. It's unmatched. And until that ends up being the case, I would love for it to be the case. In fact, for a point in time, we didn't run Facebook ads for about a year and a half. And the reason was because we don't agree with where they stand on censorship and a lot of other issues. They're deactivating accounts because of things that maybe they don't agree with. And there were a lot of changes that happened that affected us and also people like us. And so we took the opportunity to focus on other ends, bottom of funnel, really focusing on organic, getting conversions from our email list, all of those various things, of which you should be doing yourself. But in terms of top of funnel, it is still absolutely the best platform that you can advertise on as far as I see it. Now, a couple things that did change, and maybe this is why you were assuming that Facebook wasn't the best platform or wasn't a viable platform for you to market your business anymore. The first thing is that people indeed are going over to Instagram to market on Instagram. It is all of the rave. In fact, a lot of people are now focused on stories. It's become very, very popular in terms of advertising. 78%, according to the last Social Media Examiner report, 78% of marketers are actually focused on Instagram. It went from about 67% down to 54% of people that are focused on trying to build and promote their content organically on the Facebook platform. So there is definitely a migration. You do see a lot of younger folks that are not on the Facebook advertising platform, but you have to consider how big Facebook really, really is. And you also have to consider it as potentially a positive that some people are not advertising. Marketers are kind of following the trends. And the algorithm really, in terms of conversions and reaching the right people, is still, I think, supreme on Facebook, not on Instagram, even though they're owned by the same company. As it relates to Apple and the iOS update, iOS 14.5, a lot of confusion around that. A lot of people think that you just can't do the things you used to do, right? You can't take advantage of the algorithm to the full capacity that you once could. And it's not untrue. However, again, I mentioned this before, it's not really affecting top of funnel near to the degree that people thought that it would. A lot of people thought this is the end. This is it for advertising on Facebook. It really is affecting the people that's all they relied on. Direct to sale. There's no follow-up email sequence. There's no engagement. There's no nurture sequencing. It was really just, did you buy or did you not? And or were you taking advantage of some of those retargeting features that Facebook provided, of which are going to be a little bit more limited. To think that Apple is protecting you somehow is not at all the case. It's not any more secure than it was. It just, they didn't want to share the data anymore. It really is what it comes down to with Facebook. But in terms of top of funnel, the algorithm has gotten to such a degree on Facebook that actually has made it easier for advertisers. They're really trying to, and they know this is an opportunity. A lot of marketers know that they need an expert, a Facebook ads expert, to come in. They're going to have to pay a lot of money to help them run Facebook ads. And they know it's hugely, I mean, it's hard enough just to run an ad and get it running, not to just focus on the strategies, right? They've tried to strip that part away so you can just be a marketer, right? So you can just focus on your copy. You can just focus on your offer. You can just focus on your creative. They tried to strip away a lot of the technical aspects to make it easier for people like us to market, which is hugely beneficial. So some of the things look like this. You don't have to target specifically, so you don't have to cite and put in various interests that you want to target or people or influencers that you want to target. You can get very broad and still get the same results. In fact, it actually hurts you to get more targeted than you have to, specifically if you have a product like weight loss or something that applies to, 30 out of 100 people, right, are going to be interested in this potential product. You can get really broad and just run an ad that goes to pretty much anybody and let the algorithm do what it does best. Another thing we're seeing is a lot of people had to get really specific about running ads on, okay, I just want this to be in the newsfeed on Facebook, and then I'm going to run a separate set of ads that show up on Instagram, and I'm going to make sure you don't do that. Like, let Facebook do what it does best because they know those behavioral patterns. They know, for example, that sometimes during the day, people are on Instagram and they're looking at stories, and then other times they're finding that people are scrolling the newsfeed on Facebook, and it will show them advertisement based off of those behaviors that they've cited with use on their platform. So that is wildly beneficial for somebody like yourself that's trying to run ads, and you don't necessarily have to have somebody that's an expert to pay thousands of dollars to come in and just show you how to turn the dumb thing on, right? So huge, huge opportunity. Go broad. Let the algorithm do what it does. Now, you want to make sure, and this is huge, these are the people that are going to win, right? Because it's getting easier to run ads. So here's the people that are going to win. The good marketers, not the people who know the technical stuff. The good marketers are who are going to win. So you've got to be a good marketer. You've got to invest your time in doing that. And I would say it starts with first having a good offer, right? That's plain and simple. Have a good offer and have an email sequence to follow those people. Have webinars, have lead magnets, whatever it is you're selling, right? Make sure that your follow-up, what you do after acquisition of lead, is pronounced, is very, very good, is very solid. You're being a good marketer. You know the basics of, good copywriting and marketing skills. It's going to be very, very important. The next thing I would do is this, and a lot of people make this mistake. They try to test too many variables at one time, right? And that is specifically true right now in 2021. So what I do, what I recommend people do, and we have an entire training about this, by the way, over an hour and a half long training inside of my program, Startup Launch Factory, where we talk specifically about this. But I like to test specific variables at a time. So once I've got the offer dialed in and I've got my email sequence and my follow-up emails and everything, whether I'm doing a webinar or lead magnet to webinar or whatever that combination looks like, right? And it's going to depend on the offer. Then what I do is I want to test 5 different creatives, 5 different headlines, right? So I'm going to write 4, maybe 5 to 10, right? You don't have to limit yourself. 5 different headlines, captivating headlines, 5 different creatives. Now, here's the deal. I run dynamic creative, and I'm going to first use one static image that's completely the same for my creative to test those headlines. So I'll literally just do a yellow image with text overlay. Another change from Facebook is you can now do text all over your creative. You don't have to keep it, specific to a certain percentage on that creative. You can just have massive text, and that can really grab people's attention. So that's a huge positive change for advertisers like you. You can catch people's attention much easier now. But then I'm going to test those various 5 headlines. I'm going to pick a winner, right? I'm going to run that for a while. I'm going to get at least 50 conversions and make sure I'm going to let it run for a few days and see what happens. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my winners from that. I'm going to run another campaign. So I'm going to turn that campaign off. I'm going to run another campaign, same situation. I'm going to run that dynamic campaign with campaign budget optimization. And then what I'm going to do is test 5 different creatives with those winning headlines. So now I'm mixing and matching, and I'm pairing together what the winners are for both the headline and the creative. If you've got a good offer, good creative, and winning headlines and creatives, what you're going to find is that you've got a potential winning advertising campaign. So from that point forward, you're going to turn the campaign off, right? Some people just want to say, okay, I've got winners. I'm just going to keep it rolling, right? Just run. No. Every time you've got a winner, your test budget is going to be different than what you're trying to then run as your campaign, right? So test budget is going to be whatever it is you establish, whether that's $5, $10, $20, $30 a day. But you don't just jump and all of a sudden change your budget on that ad in that campaign. You don't just bump that up to $500 a day, right? You're going to cut that campaign. You're going to take your winners and you're going to run that. And you could run literally just one creative and one headline and that's it. Or you could run a couple of your winners and then see how they perform. Or maybe you split them out based off of different audiences. And you're going to be very, very broad, but you're going to test maybe like one interest group. So you're going to follow people that follow or target people that follow Grant Cardone. And that's literally your only specification, and let the algorithm do what it does after that. So that's what I would recommend you do, is make sure you test that. And then if you need to, right, as a last element of testing, is test some various forms of copy that go with those headlines and with those creatives. I recommend keeping it short. The algorithm seems to really prefer short copy versus long copy, but it does depend on what you're trying to accomplish, right? So if you're going direct to sale on an offer, then you might need longer copy because people need to know that is effectively your sales page. But if it's going to short form copy to webinar, well, you're going to explain everything. So just modify it in accordance with that. Don't be spammy. Don't add a bunch of links in your copy for your ad, because Facebook just recognizes that as an ad, right? And they don't necessarily like that so much. So I definitely recommend trying all of that. One thing you can do as a quick pro tip that we have done is take that ad once it's running and then create an engagement campaign. Make sure that when you're setting your objectives, campaign objectives, make sure that you're being specific about what you actually want. You don't have to trick the algorithm. If you're going for leads, go for leads. If you're going for purchases, optimize for purchases. If you're going for video views, go for video views. But one thing you can do is do another campaign, pull in that post ID for that campaign, and run it for engagement, right? So what that does is you're going to get a lot of positive engagement, comments and likes and shares on that ad. The same ad is simultaneously running as a lead optimization campaign. And that kind of tells Facebook, like, this is legitimate and we should show some more people. So that's a little bit of a pro tip that you can utilize, but not necessarily something you need to do right out of the gates. But those are my tips for you. Again, I think this is a fantastic time to jump on Facebook ads. I think a lot of people are distracted with what's going on in the world, but I also think a lot more people are shopping online now. And I think that's a huge opportunity for you to take advantage. People are looking, the world has changed in so many ways, and people are now more indoctrinated. I have people all the time that understand how to use Zoom before, and they didn't understand that, or all these technological advancements that people have made. Now is a great time to take advantage of that because people are spending more time online than they ever have before. So I hope this answers your question. It absolutely is the right time, but make sure that you are educating yourself on beyond just knowing how to boost a post. You really want to make sure you follow people, not unlike myself, but also others. Make sure you're following somebody that knows what they're doing, has done it before, and is currently doing it right now. So for the rest of you, if you have questions you want answered on this show, that's what we do here at Startup U TV. We help you go from job into business and do it and run it successfully. So if you want to have your question featured on the show, you can drop that in the comments below. You can also tag me on social media at HeyCMH. Do all the normal, typical, standard stuff here. Like this video, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. The algorithm's changed. If you want to see more videos like this, I promise you won't see it unless you hit that bell for notifications. We also have some awesome resources for you in the description to start that process, start that business. Make now the time that you do that. And I will see you guys in the next one.